Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Bannon or SP Prime. I'm the site super moderator for Avatar The Last Airbender Online.com, and I'm here with the episode commentary for 203 Return to Omashu. And we were introduced to Azula in the first episode, and this episode kind of it introduces Azula and Azula to Aang, and basically gets Azula on the quest to capture the Avatar 2. Pretty much in just to get one up on her brother, because like that's the kind of relationship she and Zuko have. They kind of both hate each other, but Azula's kind of the more cruel, calculating one, and just will do anything to get one up on him. Like Zuko is banished. He's like no threat to her really, and she's just gonna take away any chance of him having hope. And it's also set up with the fact that Azula, with their kind of royal procession, needs to be quicker, faster in order to capture Zuko or Aang. And we see this is Aang's only friend who is left alive after this is the only one of Aang's friends left from his time 100 years ago. So he has to do something like this, and you completely understand it from that point of view. And then, like they do answer like the reason why they didn't use the secret passage. And plus, if they used the secret passage the first time, we would not have got Monzu, Pippin, Paddle, Opsicopolis the third, which, like, you know, would have ruined Avatar for everyone if that name hadn't been there. Love that name. See that Sokka is just completely ruined by all the sludge. And they're not really being sneaky at all. They're just banned right in the middle of this streets. Sokka freaking out. Purple pentapus were introduced to them. And again, it sets it up as they're kind of leaving these marks that kind of look like sort of like chicken pox, sort of that sort of thing. Some form of like contagious disease. And then we see just the kind of seriousness of the Fire Nation control over places, that they enforce curfew. No one can be planning at night time. We see the intelligence of Katara in that she really easily catches on to these things. She's like she comes up with the name Pentapox instantly. And then this is a joke from the Fire Nation point of view throughout this episode. I think I've heard of that. Didn't your this member of your family die from that or something like that? And then here's Lo and Lee. And you do sort of wonder, like, we're sort of introduced to these two as sort of her firebending teachers, and we don't know if they're firebenders. Oh wait, they actually say in the finale that they're not firebenders, so you wonder how they can teach her really, or are they just her advisors? I can't really remember. I think it said somewhere that they have something to do with teaching her firebending. Oh yeah, because they look over her with the lightning bending. So they obviously know something about the technique. And there we get a kind of early reference to Earthbenders can't bend metal. First line from Mai, just instantly get her character. She just has kind of no emotions really. No happy, just kind of this kind of gloomy kind of outlook completely. I see that they are just like kind of regular people here, you know. There's a baby there, May's brother, Tom Tom. And here we see the kind of Earthbender rebels trying to go to kill these innocent people. And like Aang just can't let this happen despite them being Fire Nation, showing off he is the Avatar. That one line there tells you that they are the resistance. There is some resistance to Fire Nation rule in Omashu. And then we see that Mai is skilled, and like she can fire these darts, skilled with kind of missile, kind of throwing weapons, that sort of thing. These daggers. And she instantly goes from this high action to just kind of like, sigh, they got away, I'm not going to even chase them. And then you just like this kind of upside down shot. It's just kind of the way she's like she's doing a handstand on 2 fingers, not her 2 hands, 2 fingers. And we see that Azula kind of does have a kind of sort of nice side to her. This is Azula being nice. There's a royal fire. We get there. This is a royal Fire Nation Academy for girls. Ty Lee left to go to the circus. And we get that like Iroh's humor is like kind of known throughout the Fire Nation. And then we get the kind of fear come in straight here when Azula asks her to do something. And the kind of aura thing introduces you perfectly to Ty Lee. And then we see Azula, you kind of wonder, we don't know her that long, but like, she decides she's going to leave and you're just like, oh, that's kind of unusual for her. And then she says, but I'm going to catch your show. And the way kind of Ty Lee flinches, oh, she's going to like do something at the show. And that's the manipulative side of Azula. And then we get King Bumi surrendered, as we later find out it's because of neutral Jin, where you do nothing. And then they cut to that shot, and it's just like there's like fireballs raining down on Omashu, and he says, "I'm going to do nothing." We later find out that like he was correct in kind of waiting. And like they kind of reluctantly agree that they're going to leave the city. Sokka kind of catching on a little thing. Katara says, comes up with the idea, give everyone pentapox. Those soldiers are gonna like vouch for like that it is a disease. They've seen one person with it, so they're gonna see loads of people with it now. That's gonna like cause them to like get them out of the city to prevent harm to kind of Fire Nation citizens. And just the way an old man comes by, not acting. And Sokka's like, yes, do that. And the old man's like a kind of like good sport for it. It was Aang's kind of advice as the Avatar, giving them the kind of thing, like, there's no point in them dying. There's not enough of them to take back the city. Just get them out of there so they kind of live to fight another day, as is mentioned. And then he gets on with his search for his old friend. And this is kind of like Avatar zombie scene, just and the Fire Nation just kind of freak out. And there's the kind of joke again. I'm pretty sure I've heard of that, and it's just a made-up disease. Kind of like the thing, like if someone tells you there's something wrong with you, you're instantly going to believe them. And then May not caring once again. I mean, not May. There's Flopsy, and you just all these kind of come back to the references, you know, like where would they put like Flopsy? And there's like here he is, and you're just like yes, Flopsy. Just the joke to the call. He's like Yip Yip only works for like Sky Bison or Appa on Appa alone. And he's just like let's go. I mean, Momo's one-track mind. He's only obsessed with food. And her, like Momo's love of food is what pretty much gets Tom Tom lost. And if you come back to the same music that was used in the King of Omashu for the postal system kind of like slide thing. Once again, just some great references. Like it just kind of Tom Tom at this stage is just as brave as say Aang or anyone. Tom Tom like just sees people walking out and follows them. He's kind of obsessed with Momo, just like Boomy is. And then you sort of wonder, is this circus the same one that Appa will be kind of put in Appa's Lost Days? Now just to kind of, every line Azula says here is just kind of like to make Ty Lee more uncomfortable. Like, Azula is going to stay here and do this, getting more and more dangerous until Ty Lee agrees. That is who she is. She has to get her own way, no matter what. You see the sweat on Ty Lee's face. I we see that the circus kind of owner, the ringmaster, is worried for like his kind of performer in Ty Lee, and doesn't want to do this, but you know this is the princess of the Fire Nation who's here, so he has to. And we see once again Sokka amazing at kind of charming animals. We've seen him with like the kind of ostrich horse in 201. We'll see him with Fu Cuddly Poops. We see he has a great relationship with Aang and Appa and Momo. There with Flopsy, and pretty much loads of other animals throughout the series as well. King Boomy's like a trickster. He kind of knows that. Could you wonder how, since Boomy didn't fight at all? There, that line. How will you top yourself tomorrow? Azula is going to stay there. You know, Azula has gotten one of her team. Now, see, Tom Tom is here with the group. Obviously, Katara used to taking care of babies because like most of the kids in the Fire Nation are very young, and it kind of gives you kind of confidence. Like she'll be a great mother when like she and Aang have kids, as we see. You know, she'll have Tenzin, and we don't know the names of the other two. And then just the way this episode is kind of just planned out, the format of this episode is that you know the only reason that they're gonna find King Boomy, the only reason they're gonna know where he is because Momo wandered into a place, looked for some food, and a baby followed Momo. It's just like such an unusual thing, and you just sort of instantly believe it. And we get that as like Azula's child. These like are a trio of childhood friends, and we see that kind of instantly that Tylee and May are kind of like the real kind of best friends, and just Azula is their friend because like she scares them. If they weren't, and it'd just be worse if they weren't her friend. And instantly, everyone is subservient to Azula. She's instantly cruel to the governor of the city, May's father. And like he was just kind of doing the right thing. He saw that there was a kind of plague. He wanted to save the Fire Nation citizens, so he kind of let them out. New Ozai. And this episode is also a reference to the unaired pilot, in that Aang and Zuko in the pilot fight on some scaffolding over a statue. And in this one, there's going to be a fight on some scaffolding over a statue. It's not going to be Aang versus Zuko, but Aang will be involved. And the fact that she says Princess Azula there kind of alerts them to the fact that you know she's royalty. We were not sure if do they know yet that Zuko's a prince. And you wonder, does Mai even care at all about her brother? But she knows that like the resistance are like against the Fire Nation. They're not going to kill like a baby, because they are the kind of good ones. I'm sure like they're not silly enough to not realize that like the Fire Nation are kind of taking over here. And we have the fight, Katara and Sokka. The Skyboys and Whistle once again. It's going to be the first of a few fights between May and Tylee against Sokka and Katara. And then the fact that the fight is on scaffolding makes a great kind of scene for a fight. A great location for a fight scene in that there's loads of layers of ground. And we get the first look at Azula's kind of first major look at Azula's kind of blue fire and her power in her bending. And using the postal system to his advantage, Azula sees this and uses it to hers as well. Aang having a great idea, but Boomy for once is trying to be serious. And this is Azula's first time fighting an Airbender, so like she's at a pretty this is kind of her disadvantage. Like Aang is the only Airbender, so like none of the like kind of new Fire Nation troops have ever fought one before, so it's going to be something new for them. But Azula is like an expert kind of fighter, so she gets through most things. You see that May has also these kind of knife shooters in her feet as well, around her ankles. And there's the chi blocking of Tylee, which is going to come back in core with the Equalists. Their thing is chi blocking. Chi blocking blocks bending. and you just kind of give some of the technicalities of how bending works. In that, like, as I mentioned with in one of the previous commentaries about Aang's arrow tattoos, they followed the chi paths of the body, which is the flow of energy throughout the body. So blocking a chi path kind of blocks the flow of energy, blocks your ability to bend. And the non-benders don't have this kind of control over their kind of chi, their energy. That's why they can't bend. And this is the kind of power of Azula that we see, this kind of fire pinwheel thing. And then she is completely unused to an earthbender being able to bend with his face. And that's kind of all that stops her. And Aang just wonders, like, if you could do that, why didn't you do it the whole time? And just the kind of how intricate that piece of earthbending was. He made a rock perfectly shaped so that his well, basically a metal coffin would come off the ramp and come up facing Aang. "85 gins," and then Aang knew about 2. And here we see why Bumi cannot be Aang's earthbending teacher. Master of neutral Jin. Waits and listens. And then we just kind of wonder, what Jin says Momo Master? And again, once again, Bumi's obsession with Momo. He's just absolutely mad and just a glorious character. You just like you heard Boomy was coming back in this episode, and you were just like, yes. And then a hint at Mei Zuko relationship, Miko or whatever, Miko. And then like this great music again for the rich. Aang just kind of is the avatar, helps the Fire Nation this time by giving Mei's family back. Well, giving Mei's brother back to the family. Just, proving that like Aang is doing his job as the avatar in like the usual sense, and in the kind of major sense of that, like, he has to stop the war, but he's also doing these little things. So the next episode commentary is going to be 204, The Swamp, which is a great episode that has kind of many echoes in like the Guru because of the wisdom of Hugh, Huu. So I will see you for that commentary next.